and I enjoy the designs of all the Heartless you can face. Presentation is a different story, though. At times, facial animations and line delivery are handled damn well, and the lip syncing is really good. But there's still something stilted about body animation, something I think is easily more noticeable when Disney characters are on the spotlight. And the game loves to go on the cheap end at times and have characters speak with basic lip flaps and static faces. In the middle of a chaotic scene, it can be pretty jarring watching expressions change in a single frame. Oh shit! Musically, I mean, my god, it's fantastic, and the remastered tracks given to us in the HD remasters are incredible. Kingdom Hearts was the first time I was exposed to the works of Yoko Shimomura, and she knows how to make a soundtrack. And what I find so great about it is that not only does every world have their own music, in a different musical style perfectly reflecting the world you're in, but they also have their own battle themes. It's nice and varied, and none of them wear thin for me. That's how you do it, Sonic Unleash, you and your overused werehog theme. As said before, Kingdom Hearts isn't terribly long, and I think offers enough content outside the main scenario to keep you busy. About 15 hours in, I was ready for the final boss, but I decided to head back to the Olympus Coliseum and win those tournaments for extra items and experience. I destroyed countless amounts of Heartless to gather materials for the synthesis shop in Traverse Town so that I can make powerful accessories for the party and eventually get the ultimate Keyblade. There's optional bosses to encounter: Kurt, Zisa, and Agrabah, the Ice Titan in Coliseum, as well as Sephiroth, the Phantom in Neverland, and exclusive to Final Mix, the encounter with the Unknown Man and his double lightsaber flippity animated shit combat style. A nice preview of what's to come and a good challenge overall. In fact, that's why I like doing all this stuff, because it's a good challenge. Truth be told, even for your first time, I recommend playing Kingdom Hearts in Proud Mode, the harder difficulty. Now, there's nothing wrong with playing Kingdom Hearts in the normal difficulty and below. I've done that for years, but I won't lie, as much nostalgia as I have for this, it's pretty mindless. You can add spells to the mix, summon creatures left and right, but that doesn't change the fact that you're mashing the X button a shit ton of times. You can't kill every Heartless by going berserk, but a good 80% of them easily fall to button mashing. At least in Proud Mode, where enemies take more and deal more, you have to practice caution, especially against those new Heartless that were introduced in the Final Mix update. That's not a compliment, for the record. If you have to increase the difficulty just to make combat more interesting, I think that's a problem. There's a workaround for it, but it's still an inherent problem. Now, I personally have a ton of fond memories of the first Kingdom Hearts game, and I have no problem going back to it, but after 15 years, it has aged. The plot's easy to grasp, but that's because the main story is not much to start, and the rest is just small retellings of classic Disney stories. Combat is visually appealing and damn satisfying against a large horde of enemies, but doesn't get any more complex than what's asked of you a couple of hours in, so again, a little mindless. If Kingdom Hearts' story wasn't so heavily integrated between games, I would say you're probably better off skipping this one in terms of gameplay, as there are other games in the series that do this sort of thing better, at least in terms of combat and utility. But if you don't want to be hopelessly lost in the continuity down the road, you need to start with this one. Again, not to say that Kingdom Hearts is bad, but it has aged, so make sure, if you decide to play this, that you prepare for that. The next video is sort of a double header. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories was originally a Game Boy Advance title, and then a couple of years later it got a PlayStation 2 remake, which was included in the HD collection. I'll be looking at both versions, since I still think the Game Boy Advance version still has qualities, if I were just to go ahead and jump the gun on that one. In the meantime, I have one hell of a convention to prepare for, Too Many Games 2017, and I got a bonus review planned for that, so I'll give you guys more details on that in a separate video to come very soon. With all that said, thank you all for watching, have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care. Possible in this stage, because come on, besides needing the extra hit point, which you only needed one ring to do that, and maybe scoring some extra lives, was there any reason to grab as many rings as possible in earlier games? This game attempts to give the rings a greater sense of purpose. It's not like there are any lives in Knuckles Chaotix anyway, in a way it's kind of progressive like that. Though individual control doesn't feel quite as tight as the Genesis games, there's still a close second, so a lot of what I can do in the other games I can do here. I don't like how they nerfed the spin dash though, and I know why it was done. But whenever I attempt to use it, I'm only reminded of the main thing that keeps me away from this game. Before the start of every stage, you can head to this crane game and select your partner. You can't control the crane to your liking, and the character slots like to shuffle around a lot, so choosing a preferred partner is a matter of chance a lot of the time, and if you're not careful, you can end up with the two joke characters in Knuckles Chaotix, Heavy and Bomb. Now, I don't mind Heavy as much, because yes, while he is slower than Erosion, he's also completely indestructible. One of my favorite things to do is simply grab him and plow through enemy forces like a hot knife through butter. Bomb, on the other hand, No. There's nothing special about him, no benefits whatsoever, and if he gets hit, he has an explosive reaction that can end up hurting your ass. Like, no shit, if I end up getting bombed in the Crane game, I reset the game most of the time. But let's be real here, no matter the partner, the foundation of Knuckles Chaotix is inherently flawed. So following up from the prototype, you are forever tethered to your partner, and completing these stages require that you use the tether to get both characters across whatever slopes, loops, or multi-layered level design the game places throughout. A concept easy to grasp, but in execution falls flat on its 32-bit ass. Unless it's for a basic speed boost, which to be fair isn't hard to do, the tether will end up working against you rather than with you. You can make a tighter than normal jump only for your partner to yank you back down and possibly collide with an enemy. If one player isn't going as fast as the other, both will slow down to reach a compromise. It's like playing a Sonic game with a physical handicap. Like if you were playing Sonic 2 co-op, but you literally couldn't proceed unless both players performed optimally at the same time, which is next to impossible with this sort of gameplay. And honestly, I don't see the point. If you master the tether mechanics, the most you get is top speed and height, but those were things you can easily achieve in previous games with springs and the spin dash, without the need for this rubber band. Again, needless handicap. Throughout the whole game, the tether will continuously yank the control away from the player, whether you're rolling down slopes, throwing your partners towards something, or those who know me know how irritated I get when I'm not in complete control of my actions, because I would rather it be my fault for not meeting whatever challenge the game throws at me, instead of having to deal with the repercussions of something clearly not designed to work with the high-speed antics of classic Sonic the Hedgehog. And adding insult to injury are the stages themselves. It's bad enough that there are 5 acts instead of the standard 2. But besides the change in scenery, which are admittedly gorgeous, it's like Sonic CD made sweet love to the 32X. Hey, I could be as lewd as I want, didn't stop these assholes from doing it. The problem is that these zones lack proper identity and end up blending in together. It's a mundane adventure because there isn't so much in enemies, you only fight something resembling a boss at the end of the 5th act, which are completely pathetic, and there's not much in stage hazards. Often the biggest obstacle is just getting the tether to work for you correctly, and I think the developers knew that, so as an apology, they decided to remove other means of harm from every stage. There are no set pieces to gawk at, no reason to stop and look around. The most interesting the game ever gets is with Amazing Arena, where you have to find the switch to turn on the lights, otherwise you can't complete the stage. It gives me a reason to explore and get invested in the level, but again, not for 5 straight acts. That's just draining no matter what the game. Again, for every other occasion, I'm simply holding right, left, and jumping when I need to, because there's almost nothing that can get in my way or interact with besides this godforsaken rubber band. Not even the final boss leaves much an impression. First off, it comes out of nowhere. How do you go from a small blue robot to sweet Jesus? On the plus side, it doesn't take longer than an episode of Sonic Boom for Metal Sonic to transform into this, but despite this size, he's dead before you know it, and it's not a very appealing reward for going after all the Chaos Rings. In fact, the bad ending is much better in my opinion, where Dr. Eggman incinerates the whole island. I mean, finally, something interesting. And I always found it funny when Sonic and Tails show up in the end graphic when you complete the game, as if they were saying, "Is it over yet? Kiss my ass, Sonic. I'm just happy to be here." But seriously, Knuckles Chaotix is worth about as much time and effort that was placed into it. So nothing, in other words. I mean, to its credit, the game looks and sounds just fine. Until Sonic Mania, you won't find a 2D Sonic game that has such a vivid color palette. I think it beats Sonic CD in that department, and that game was already... The colors feel so bright! The game doesn't go completely crazy with the 32X enhancements, with the exception to the special stages, which look ripped straight out of Star Fox. And at times, the game's frame rate dips, leading to questionable hit detection and unpredictable color errors. Oh shit, look alive, it's Super Vector, hero of Mobius and long-lost brother to Big the Clusterfuck. And if you got the time, try out the stage select code and pick these assortment of stars as your main character. Now, I don't know who the shit this is supposed to be, but with his ashy white fur and burning red eyes, I'm dubbing him as Numbles the Coke Fiend. Look for his grand debut in Sonic Forces this holiday season. The soundtrack is great, as I would expect from the franchise, and who doesn't love Door into Summer? Now that's a great piece of music there. Not my favorite from this generation, but pretty catchy and atmospheric in its own way. It's not every day we get good atmospheric music from Genesis. Use the sound test if you must. Look at this, even Amy Rose thinks highly of the soundtrack. If you want a Sonic game with the partner mechanics done right, then you play Sonic Advance 3. If you're willing to put up with everything else wrong with that game, I still don't like it. Anyway, that's it. I think I'm all set for Sonic Mania now. Oh shit, I never did explain what the combined ring power-up in Knuckles Chaotix did I? Well, if you grabbed it and then took a hit, you can grab all your rings back instead of having them scatter all over the place. That's it. Hey, that was enough for me to finally give this game a look-see, and I want to thank you guys for all stopping by. Now, I know I'm neglecting my Kingdom Hearts duties, but I think we can find a compromise. Bam! There you go. That should make up for it. With that said, thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care. nothing spectacular, but better than this shit. A few of you have noticed that I never once mentioned 100 Acre Wood in the last video. It is a world that Sora travels to, but it's always the mini-game world that has no bearing on the story. You play games, you get some treasure, that's it. That's probably why I completely skimmed over it, but yeah, it's a thing. It's about as relevant as the other shit. There are things to like about Chain of Memories, but it's got too many cracks. Mechanically, I find the remake better with its refined battle system and the additional options it gives a player in combat, despite the fact that most battles put up next to no challenge, and if I have to purposely not use certain abilities to make things remotely interesting, that's a problem. The game's a total drag. The worlds are dreadfully tiring and samey. Battles can be just as bad, but ultimately needed to travel deeper into the game because you do need map cards to proceed after all. And the less I say about the story, the better. I was on autopilot for a majority of my time here. Shit, by the time I got to the end of Sora's story, I was purposely making all the rooms nothing but Moogle and treasure rooms since they don't have Heartless inside, meaning I can just go to the next room and fight the next boss. And I fully played through both versions for this review, so maybe that's why I'm just a tad bitter. But come on, Chain of Memories was always that footnote in the series. It's the only game to use the card battle system, and the plot elements it introduced were just there to be fleshed out in the game everybody was actually waiting for. Kingdom Hearts 2. I mean, they're striking when the iron's hot, I guess, but if the result is something so flimsy and needlessly confuse the shit out of people, was it really worth it? I don't know. Either way, next up is the PlayStation 2 sequel, 4 years in the making. 4 years, it's 2017, we still don't know shit about Kingdom Hearts 3's release date. Anyway. Kingdom Hearts 2! I'll see you guys next time for that. Thank you all for watching, have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care. Hey everyone, just wanted to take some time to apologize for the wait between this video and the first Kingdom Hearts video. I had a lot of things to take care of after too many games. My Let's Play channel over on the Super Gamer Brothers just broke 100,000 subscribers, so I wanted to spend some time to celebrate the occasion. And just recently, I did a collab with Cat Icarus, talking about the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, so please give that a look here. Now I'm going to get right on Kingdom Hearts 2, because unlike Chain of Memories, I can look forward to that, and I hope you do too. Have a good night, everybody.